Today, we're here to talk about connections. And ironically, last year I did my first TEDx and I explored the paradoxes within myself. Then COVID happened, which really flipped the entire globe on its head. So in an effort to connect with you all out there today and help anyone who has ever felt the same way as me, I'm going to reflect on how I've shifted from feeling alone to a loner to a leader. When I first stared at the PowerPoint slide that was blank to figure out what I wanted to speak about today, the prevailing thought that came out of my fingers was, I am alone. I am alone. And that was the voice that was in my head while I was growing up on Long Island for most of my childhood. And that's not to say that I didn't have close family or friends. It just felt like I just didn't have that counterpoint that truly understood what it was to be me. And oftentimes I would blame myself for just not fitting in or feeling that I wanted to do something different than everybody else did. So I am alone. I am alone is an expression that has always been with me. Perhaps you've had thoughts like that too in your head, where you just don't feel like you have a place in the world or someone who truly understands what it's like to be you. It's a very, very lonely feeling, not to be connected to anyone or not feeling to be connected to anyone. As I got a little older and a little more self-aware, I slowly, probably subconsciously, started to accept that maybe I wasn't like everybody else. And I'm going to transition my brain from saying I am alone to I am a loner. And all you have to do is change one letter to make that transition. So instead of blaming myself, I really, really empowered myself to say, you know what, it's okay when everybody goes left that I want to go right, or I don't want to do what everybody else is doing. And it's really a much more empathetic approach to how I judge myself, because after all, I'm not alone anymore. I'm just a loner. So it was a kind of a step up from feeling alone. Now, the residual effect of that is that I really isolated myself from a lot of other people and wasn't able to make true deep connections, because after all, I'm a loner. I like to do what other people, the opposite of what other people like to do. So I use that as sort of like a self-protective shield around myself, this I am a loner mantra. But it worked for me better than I am alone. I am alone. But just I have a very deep need in myself to keep pushing to be better and better and better. So I didn't want I am a loner to be the final stop on my journey. And essentially my journey really picks up when COVID happened, right after our last TEDx. And that live sports and entertainment travel business that I built for 12 years with people who I really care deeply about and have deep connections with, who work at our company, everything was really in jeopardy. All the tickets that we were doing, all of the travel we were doing for corporations, all of the events we were planning ceased to exist. So in that moment, when the world was turned upside down, I felt that I could embrace that spirit of individuality and showing the world that we could be different. And we did that by transforming our business, which was all based in-person events, to do virtual events. And that was Top Chef cooking programs over the internet, or mixologist lessons, or wine connoisseur pairings. Anything that we could do virtually, we did, as a way of perseverance and as a way to transform and save our business. And it's working really great. And I think it's going to be better than ever when the world does come back to normal. And it's truly in that moment where everything is turned upside down, where I felt like my voice could really break through, because I've always loved to do things differently. And now the world was accepting of that. And our team, who I can't thank enough, was accepting of that, where I really feel where I then made the jump from a loner to a leader. So what does that mean for you out there? Why should you care? Let's start here. If anyone has ever felt depressed, anxious, isolated, or simply alone, just know that the first step is transitioning your mind from saying, I am alone to I am a loner. It's a very empathetic, self-loving transition that you could easily make. So this way you're automatically not alone anymore, because there's a ton of other loners just like you out there. As long as you're not harming anybody and you're putting positivity out into this world, then stop caring what other people think about you. That is one of the most important lessons I've learned in the last year that's helped me in my journey of leadership. I used to battle with how much I thought of what other people were thinking of me. And I truly stripped that down this year, and I just put it in the wastebasket. Does it affect me every once in a while? Of course it does. I'm human. But I would say that as you go on your journey from alone to a loner to a leader, that's the one thing that it needs to fall by the wayside. The other thing that I would highly recommend as you make on your journey is to start pursuing your passions and dreams. This past year, since COVID, I have set up meetings with the New York Giants, the people who run The Bachelor. These are my personal passions that I'm pursuing and hoping to make connections along the way, because if it's a passion, it's not work. And it's just all a part of my leadership journey. So I would highly recommend that the two things that people do after leaving this to make that transition is first accept yourself as a loner, and then work on yourself as a leader. I have made this transition, and I'm hopeful that you too could give yourself the love and empathy to make that journey as well. So with that said, hopefully I was able to connect with you today, and that we'll have an opportunity to meet in person or online one day in the near future. Have a great tomorrow.